Welcome to the React part of the tutorial series. This is the second and last part where we're going to build this whole project with the login, with the register, with the notifications here in the corner, and putting the pins. Now, before we do start, first of all, thank you for the right comments, and do not forget to subscribe if you find this content useful. Let's get right into it. Last time, if you have not watched the video, you can watch it right over here. We built the server part, the database, and we even tested our REST API. Today, it's time to finish this beautiful application by finishing the client side. This is what the user is going to be seeing and interacting with, hence the name client side. All right, now I am back from where we actually finished in the last episode, in the last video, and this is the already done routes and the server part of the REST API, as you can see right over here. And today I'm going to be heading to the client. Now I'm going to list and be sure that you're in the client. And the first thing that we want to do is set up the React application. In order for me to set up the React application, I'm going to go to the client and I'm going to say npx create React app, and then I'm going to give a name to my application. So I'm going to go and say it's going to be travel app, something like this. So let's go and enter, and here you're going to start installing the packages. Once you're done, it's going to say happy coding right over here, or happy hacking, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. I don't pay attention to it, but I believe it's happy hacking. And you're going to know that it's finished. So let's actually wait for it and see what's going to happen. Okay, now that we actually have the React installed, I am wondering, where do I want to begin with? With what do I want to begin with? Because I think the easiest thing to do and the most logical is to begin with the map. So as you can see, I'm in client, I'm in travel app now, and here I want to enter it. So CD, and then I'm going to go travel map. And by any chance, if you want to know where you are, EWD, print working directory. And you can get the path here, so you can copy that. Not that you don't see it here, but that's a feature. So let's go to, first I want to do a couple of things. Now in app.js, I'm actually going to delete everything over here. And I am going to delete even this, delete this, like that. And here I'm going to put one header one. So this is going to be hello world, right? The standard, so Control S. And app CSS, I'm going to pretty much delete everything for now, because we want to put it from scratch. We're going to keep the import statement. App tests.js, I am going to delete. And sorry about the sound. I do not know how to actually lower it down. We are going to hear this sound a little bit more. So here in index.js, I'm actually going to delete this index CSS. Index.js, we're going to delete report web vitals. And I'm going to delete it from the import statement. I'm also going to delete this, do Control S. Then I'm going to go to logo SVG, and I'm actually going to delete that as well. And this sound is getting very annoying to me, but we have to hear it a couple more times. Report web vitals.js, I'm going to delete the script, and I'm going to delete the setup tests.js. So now that we actually have everything deleted, let's Control S on every single component and see if we can actually run it. However, in public here, you can just come and you can choose your name. So this is going to be travel. I'm just going to give this title. Okay. And now I'm going to app.js list, and I'm going to start. I want to be sure that I am in the application folder where the React was installed. So I did install my React application in travel app. So therefore I need to have travel app before I say npm start. Otherwise I'm going to have problems. So let's say npm start and see if this is actually going to work out. So far so good. And we are running a development server. Good. So this is localhost 3000. I'm going to close it and I'm going to open a web browser. Or should I say a normal web browser? So let's actually open a new one. Actually, we don't even need. We just need to reload and boom. Hello world. This is what we're having currently. And this is what we're producing from the app.js. All right. Now, we already have the React app. We are going to focus on the map component. What we want to do at the end is to actually have a map over here. We do not necessarily need to have this particular projection that we see in the beginning of the video, but we want to have something of a map, right? And we want to move around it. This is not going to be very difficult. However, we need to do a couple of things before that. I am in Mapbox. Now we can use Google Map API for this, but Google Map API is actually paid. And since I want to keep these tutorials for everyone, I am not going to use Google Maps. I'm not going to pay anything. This is aimed to be completely free. So here you make an account completely free, and then we can head on to our account. So account Mapbox is going to allow you to actually create a token. As you can see, this is a token that we can use to identify ourselves as the person who has an account, and the Mapbox can produce ourselves a map. What we're going to be doing is we're going to use this public token to access this API in order to extract a map. How we're going to visualize the map is completely up to us. And for this, we're going to be using, as I said, React Geo Map. Let's head back to the Visual Studio Code and say npm, or we can add npm add React, and I believe it was Geo Map. Let me check it real quick. Actually, it was map geo. All right, let's add this as a reference and see what we can produce. Good. I always like when I see high severity vulnerabilities. All right, everything with the UI is high severity vulnerability. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to produce a map. Let's see how this is going to work out. The first thing that I want to do is to import a couple of stuff. Now, these are going to be important. I'm going to import everything as React from React. Then I'm also going to import map from React map yo. And so far, I believe this is going to be everything. We're also going to use state for that. So I think that's it for the imports for now. Okay, so far we have added all of this. Now, one more thing that I want to add is necessary for me to actually use this map component from React map geo, and it is called Mapbox, which is the map that we're going to be using. So I'm going to import, and then I'm going to go Mapbox GL. I'm going to say this mapbox.gl.css. Good. And currently we need to produce the map component. Now that is very easy. I'm just going to say map, and here I'm going to say a couple of stuff. So here we're going to put on the properties. The properties are going to be more than one, obviously, but I want to make sure that everything works. And by the way, in order for you to import this and not have any problems, you have to say npm add and then mapbox gl. Right? So just run this command. I have added, I did this already and I have added it, but I'm just going to say it one more time. And after you are done, you are able to use the map component. And in order for me to compile this successfully, I'm just going to say, I'm just going to write initial view state is going to be equal to an empty object. And here I'm going to list npm start. All right. Now I'm going to explain a couple of things for this map component before we continue further. I just want to see that it can compile successfully. So there you go, compiled successfully. It's all right. Now let's talk about the map a little bit. What we're using currently is the following. So we're having a React Geo map, which is an API wrapper, and we're having the Mapbox. Let me go with black over here. We're having the Mapbox over here. So here, this is the Mapbox. Mapbox is what provides us with different maps. So we have night maps. So let's say that these are going to be very, very different maps. All right. There you go. And you can choose. So you can just say, okay, I want this one, or probably you want this one, or probably you want this one. You can make it your own. Now, when you actually choose something, you are having an account. The account is having a token. So you need to be proving to Mapbox that you have an account and that you are a valid person who is capable of requiring different maps. And we're going to be using React Geo Map in order to take the data from here. So this is going to be data. And then visualizing it or making it visualizable, right? So this is updated. up and putting us to us, which is the user. And we're happy that we can actually take this new data, because this is something more, and actually put it onto the screen and render it. That's how it works. Now, in order for me to see something, I need to say what kind of a map I want to use. So do you want to use dark mode, for example, when we're having no lights and the map is dark? Do you want to be daylight? Do you want a moon map, right? All of these maps you can actually choose. So currently it is compiled successfully, but we're compiling a map. We're not providing any access token. So let's see what is happening. As you can see, it is an empty, I don't know, blank list. And if I type F12, you're going to see problems. So the first problem that appears is a valid Mapbox access token is required to use the Mapbox GL. If you remember, this token that we're talking about is this default public token right over here, proving that I have an account and that is me. So I can copy that and I can actually place it. I'm not going to be placing it right over here as a string. Rather, I'm going to go to the travel application, new file, and say .env. Now, in the .env, and in order for you to use the environment variables in React, you need to be typing something specific here. Everything is going to start with React app, and then here, whatever you want. So here you can type your name, you can type your channel, for example, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to say React app, and then I'm going to go token, and then I'm going to place my token as it is. All right, good. So now I have token, and I want to try to use this token in order to see if it's going to work. And that is why I'm going to head back to source app.js, and here onto the initial view state, I'm going to be providing something else. I'm going to be providing Mapbox access token. As you can see, IntelliSense actually found it, so I'm going to say tap. This is going to be equal, and this is going to be equal to process.env dot, and it was React app. All right, I forgot it. Token. There we go. So React apps token. Control S here if to see if we're going to compile successfully, and let's actually go to the travel application, reload, and see what the problem is. So currently a token is not available. Now this is to create a token, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if my token is actually expired because you can see that it's 21 days ago. All right, so let's actually refresh the token. Oh, crap. Right, it seems that I have forgot my account because I cannot see it, or probably I have deleted it. So I'm just going to make a new sign up here and just show you all the way. Let's actually go to full name, and I'm just going to go with lead engineer. All right, a little walkthrough to what happened. Actually, when I went to the account here, it turned out like my account was nowhere to be found, and I don't know if it was deleted or not, but I just created a new one, and here is my new public access token. So I actually took that, and now I'm going to go to the environment, and I'm going to place it over here. But I do want to see if I can make it a string, just to be sure if it's going to work. So Control S on here, go to app.js. I'm actually going to terminate and then start it all over again. Now I'm terminating because I just want to be sure that I'm taking the right environment and the environment actually in cache. So let's go to the travel application, reload, and you're going to see that the error is actually gone. Now, the error is actually gone, but we still do not have a map. If you look at here, I haven't set anywhere what kind of a map I do want. So I don't know what kind of a map I'm actually searching for. All I do have is the access token, which is going to be my password to like this. So this is going to be my pass-free zone, and my initial state. My initial state is nothing. So we have longitude and latitude of 0 and 0. And I can just prove that I have a token, nothing more. So I do not expect to see a map. The only thing that I expect to see is not an error. So I do not want to see any problems, and I'm not seeing them. So everything is actually currently working fine. So the next step is for us to actually choose what kind of a map we want to visualize. So let's see how we're going to do that. Styling. Styling the map can be done in the following way. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the map box where I got my token, and you can see here, design a custom map style. I'm going to go to create a map in Studio, and then I can just, I have this streets already built, but you can say new style, and then I can go with customize streets. And you can actually do quite a lot of stuff. It's very interesting. The map is not going to look like this. We need to change the projection. But as you can see, this is, if you do everything, you're going to end up getting this on your screen. Now, what's interesting is that this map can be changed from green spaces to be a bit more green. Let's go to probably motorways. You can actually change quite a lot. Roads, make red roads if I want to. And when I go here, you can see that the roads are actually red. Now, what I want to do currently is to actually publish. So click on publish over here and just say publish. Publish is new. Style successfully published. All right. So what happened? Where is the map? Now, if I actually reload my account map box, I can go to my styles. I don't know how, but if I go to create a map in Studio, my styles will be appearing right over here. So as you can see, streets published less than a minute ago and then published 4 minutes ago. Both of them are actually pretty much the same. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to click on the dots over here and I have a style URL. I'm going to copy that style. I'm going to close this and then I'm going to head on to the Visual Studio Code. Now here is where I can actually say, all right, I want my map style to be the following. Boom, there we go. If I compile that, however, you're going to see that I have nothing. I have some canvas 2D, multiple track, blah, blah, blah. Here I don't have any more warnings, but nothing is actually seenable onto the screen. No matter what I do, I cannot see anything. So that's very problematic for me, but what I can do is I can say style, so this is going to be an inline style, and I can choose the width to be 100 view width, and I can choose the height to be 100 UH. Control S. Let's head back to the browser, and you can see that we're actually having a map. Now the map, even though I'm scrolling with the scroll, is looking like this currently, but we're gonna change that. This is a map in 2D, and it's just going to, instead of wrapping it around in a circle, it's just going to put it like this, right? That's it. I mean, we're seeing a 2D plane now. But as you can see, we have a map visualized. Now I can go to Europe, France, Paris, and you're going to see that I'm seeing roads, I'm seeing pretty much everything. Now I can move within the map. I cannot do anything else. So if I double click, nothing is happening. It's just some, I'm actually zooming in when I double click. And of course, we're going to change that. We're also going to change the fact that we have buttons. And as you can see, the map is looking pretty flat currently. Now, obviously, we're going to be changing that. Let's see how we're going to do it. Heading back to the Visual Studio Code, this is our map component. And here, what I want to do is to say container is going to be equal to map, and projection is going to be equal to globe. That's pretty much it. And of course, we are probably going to style it a little bit. But if I go to the browser, you're going to see my map. And it's actually very beautiful. As you can see, now I can actually roll it up because now we made it 3D, changing the projection, and the streets are for some reason red again. I thought it shows the other map, but there it is. And now things are actually looking better because we can look it as a globe. Right. So things that we need to do now is to do the banner over here. Oops, that's a very horrible banner. The banner over here with login and register to talk with the server. And then we have the pop-ups that are actually appearing in order for us to log in or register. And then the pop-ups for the pins. All right, easier said than done. Oh yeah, and also we have the notifications over here that we need to build as well. So I'm not entirely sure how to start because it's a very big project. Probably we're going to start with the pins. All right. And this was the map. Now that we actually have everything done properly, I really want to remove these things over here, these bars. So I'm going to do this next. I'm going to go to app CSS and I'm going to type star here. I want to target all components and I'm going to say margin 0, padding 0, and I want box sizing border box. Good. Let's see how this is going to work out now. Good, there we go. So now you probably understand why I actually have this footer over here, because I just do not want to see this map box, improve this map box over here. Obviously you see it because it is a free version, and this is your way to contribute without paying any money, because you know we are going to see this map box, and chances are that somebody's going to go on head on there. But so far I really like what we actually have. Let me just reload it this very quickly. And yeah, we have to put this footer over here because I have my buttons so over there placed on login and register. But what am I actually going to do now is actually do one of the most important steps throughout this project, and it's actually to get the pins in the DB. The first thing that I'm going to do, obviously, is to go into the database and actually delete all the pins. So let's do that first. Okay, I'm into my DB cluster, so let's go to browse collections and actually delete everything. Now, why am I actually doing that? Well, I am doing it because, as you can see, I'm using the previous DB, and we have quite a lot of stuff here, quite a lot of users over here because of the testing purposes. I just want to delete everything and to know that I have a very nice and free of error database. So currently what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete all of these entries until I have nothing, and then I'm going to go back to the Visual Studio Code. And instead of me deleting them step by step, since I have a lot, I'm just going to drop the whole collection. To drop the collection pins, type the name to confirm, pins, drop. And of course, later on, we're going to obviously create them, so it's not a problem for us. Let's just drop them both. All right, now I do have no collections and everything is plain and simple for me. So I can focus on extracting them. Now, it's not a problem if I delete them because obviously I'm going to go to my server and then set up one user and one pin if I want to. And that's what I'm going to do. But I don't want to test with 200 pins because I have a lot actually when I was doing the testing. Okay, good. Now we do have this CSS, and the thing that we are going to be doing now is go to the server, collect the available pins, and actually try to visualize them on the map. All right, let's do that. Before I do that, however, I do want to put a navigation control. I believe it was a navigation control, but I do not see it. Navigation control. Let's see if we popped up something. Yeah. All right, we need to import it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import map and navigation control from React Map GL, and this is going to add this little bar right over here. Now, it's not a necessity, obviously, but I do like it, and I find it to be pretty stylish, so that's why I decided that I'm going to put it over here. All right, now the navigation control, and the final part is to collect the pins. So here comes the interesting part. How is our client going to communicate with the server? Now we're going to use a use effect here to do it, but I'm just going to explain the theory behind that. Every time that I'm open up a browser and I'm entering on my server, right? So here I'm entering the localhost on port 3000, and I have this React application that's going to be visualized over here. So every single time that I'm going to render that, I'm going to head on to the server. The server is going to be standing here, and I'm going to ask, do you have any pins for me to visualize? And the server is going to either return an empty collection, or it's going to return a collection of pins. And I'm able to advance this collection and visualize every single pin that I'm going to have. Now, this is a very horrible pin. Probably it was going to be better for me to put to put it as a PNG in the Photoshop. But yeah, we're going to visualize pin over here on the map globe. That's how we're going to work, and that's what we need to actually accomplish. All right, we said that we want to start with the pins. Now, however, in talking to the server, we need go to package.json over here, and down over here, I want you to write something called a proxy. This is from where our requests are going to go through, and it's going to be HTTP localhost. And here we have to see what kind of a port we're using. So let's go to server index.js and see what kind of a thing we're using. We're using 7800 in my case, so that's what I'm going to actually write. 78000 and slash, I think it was API. There we go, API. And then you can see we have either pins or users, which is going to be useful. So I'm going to stop here. Our proxy is going to be localhost 7800 API. And whenever I want to actually do a request, I'm actually going to use this proxy, since we're using it, slash something. So for example, if you're using the pins, I'm just going to say slash pins. And in this slash, React is going to go and put up your proxy, which is the server that we are actually running. Good. Now, what I need to do is to actually run the server first and to install something in the React app. But I'm going to go to this, oops, not this, sorry. I want to delete this PowerShell node, and I'm going to go on this plus over here. This one is going to be renamed to server, and this one over here is going to be renamed to client. The server is obviously going to be responsible for the server's part, so I'm just going to cd to the server and then say node index. And if you remember, if everything is actually correctly run, it's going to light up in green. Let's see. All right, we got that the backend server is actually started, and then the MongoDB is actually connected. So we are having the server. Now, I'll probably go to the testing framework in order to create a pin, because if you remember, if you can recall, I actually went on and deleted everything, but we're going to do that. No worries. So the server is actually started, and now I'm in the client side. So I'm going to print working directory. You're going to see client and travel application, which is going to be my React app. And here I want to say npm install Axios. We're going to be using this Axios thing to get, post, delete, and put. So this is what's going to allow us to actually make, it's not what's going to allow us, we can do it with fetch, but if I go in here to app.js, I can just say fetch, and I can say fetch something random, right? I need to pass the URL. I need to pass what kind of a request am I making? Am I making a post? Am I making a put? Am I making an update? Sorry, a get. And if you recall, you are having post here. This is also a post, and here we have gets, right? Get. So this is very easily done in Axios. That's why we installed it. All right, now that we actually installed it, we need to import it. So let's go to the client app.js, and down here on the import section, we have to say import, and I'm going to be importing Axios from, you guessed it, Axios. All right, that is very good. So far, so good. We have the map, we have the navigation control, we have everything, and here I can actually even collide that, like so. And now we said that we want to collect something from the database. Now, keep in mind, we are already running this server, as you can see over here. Now, what we can do is connect to the routes, pins, get, and I want to get all the pins. When I'm doing the application, if I want to add, let's say, friends, you are going to get specific pins. But now I'm just going to get to this router. I want to enter this section into my server, and this is obviously going to go into my DB, search for pin model, and it's going to just return me all pins that are actually added and exist. Good. Now, when we know what we want to do, let's go back to the client app.js, and right over here, we're going to write a use effect function. Just a slight reminder, or if you do not know, just a slight recap on what a use effect is. It's a function that's going to be running every single time a property changes. If you have no property changed, it's going to be running only once. And if you have, for example, pins over here, it's going to run and fetch all of the pins when the specific state is actually changed. you're going to see this in more details. The first thing that I want to do is to write a hook. I'm going to say const pins and set pins. This is going to be equal to our use state, React use state. And if you do not want to say React use state over here, you can just do the imports in a different way. Now, use state, for the first time, what kind of a pin are we actually going to have? So we're going to have an empty array, right? Currently, we do not have any pins at all. Not only because we might not have the server available, but because we want to start with something. I'm not going to make something up. I want the real data. And here I need to say, you go to the server and get the specific pins with Axios. The way I can achieve that is I can say React use effect. And in the use effect, we're going to be running this function. And here in this function, we're going to have the Axios RAM. Now, I'm going to go with const get pins. And this is going to be equal to an async function. This is how I'm actually going to call it. Right. In use effect, I'm going to be declaring the asynchronous function over here, and then I'm just going to call it over here. All right. So get pins is going to be an async function. Then I'm going to try catch. Here I'm going to catch an error, and I'm going to console log it. All right. And here into the try, we're going to do the following thing now. We're going to say const response is going to be equal to await axios.get. And what are we going to be getting? We're going to go to the server, routes pins, and I want just this, as you can see. However, in order for me to achieve this, because this is just a post and this is just a get, since we're going to be using a get, we're obviously going to enter in here. I need to write /pins. So that's going to be a bit difficult probably to understand, but I need to do this. Why? Well, because if I go into the server, you're going to see that API/pins is going to reroute me to the pin route. When I'm into the pin route, which is going to be route as pin, which is going to be right over here, I'm then entering this section of the code. And I have only one get without any params. So here we just have an empty slash, right? We might add it or we might not add it, depends on our liking. If here, for example, I have ABC, so /ABC, here into my app.js, I have to have pins and then /ABC, right? Because the pin is going to target me. If we imagine this like a wall, right? The server is going to be like a wall. I'm going there and it sees pins. So now I'm going to, okay, I know this. I'm going to reroute you to my pin method, right? These are going to be our pin methods. If I see users, however, I can reroute you to my user methods. And they do different stuff. So that's pretty much what the server is going to do. This is going to be, the whole thing is going to be the server, but you can imagine this something like a firewall, and we go and see, okay, pins is allowed. Here are the things that you can access with this gateway. So now we're actually axios.getPins, meaning that we have entered the server and we're trying to extract every single pin. And that's pretty much it. So now I have to say set pins, and I'm going to say response.data. And that is that. So again, we are going to the server with pins. We are getting something, or we're going to get something since it's going to be asynchronous. And then we're just going to set the pins with response.data. Response.data is going to be the array that we want. Now, if you're watching the server, you're going to see success, backend server started and MongoDB connected. I can go to the client. And now I can say npm start. And let's see what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting, I believe. So now we have actually started. Let's go to the browser. Refresh. We do not have any errors. But what is happening to our server? Now, we don't have any errors. We don't have anything at all. Even if I console log the response data, we're not going to have anything because currently we deleted everything from the DB. But let's actually check the server. How are we going to do that? You remember that I have opened a second terminal over here, and I can click on the server, and you can see finding opens. And constantly, it is constantly pinging my server to tell it the pins. And the pins is constantly saying, okay, finding new pins, finding new pins. how am I actually going to mitigate that? Well, what I can do is I can put an empty array here. This is called a dependency because I want to run it just once, right? I do not want it to run every single time. If I set something here, so for example, Fiji, right? This is going to be the state. If Fiji ever changes, if Fiji is, for example, an array, and I add something to the array, so if Fiji is this, 1, 2, 3, and I add something to Fiji and I make it 1, 2, 3, 4, then I'm automatically going to call this function. Why? Because I'm going to go to use effect. I'm going to declare the function over here and I'm going to call it over here. Currently, we're doing this every single time. But what's important here is that we are successfully finding opens, meaning that our API call to our own server is actually running and it's working properly. Of course, we're not bringing any data alongside us, but this is going to be changed soon. All right, we open up Postman, and here we're going to be testing our API. Now, since I'm going to run, where is it actually? All right, we open up Postman, and here this is what we use to test our API. And as you know, we are actually trying to access some pins. So I'm going to go to these routes and try to enter a pin. So what we need to do is to say HTTP localhost, then we have 7800, then we have API or pins API and get, I believe it was. Now I'm going to tell you in a bit more details what I'm actually trying to do while it's loading. So if I go to, oops, sorry about that. So if I go to over here, you can see that we're using the port 7800. Then we're having API pins and pin route. And if I go to pin route, you're going to note that this is my REST API. Now I can either post creating a pin or I can get them. However, when I try over here, I'm getting error. And let me just see the server logs. Okay. So something is actually going on here. I want to see if my route is correct. So I can go to API pins, and now I have, oh yeah, so first API and then pins. All right, like that, get, boom, there we go. So we have an empty result. And if I try to post currently, I need to go to body. And where was it actually? I need row, and then I have JavaScript, JSON. Good. There we go. So now I'm going to try to post an object. If I do post this, I'm going to get a problem. And here we're going to have a failed adding pin to DB. Good. So now we're actually on the right track. The problem is I do not remember which properties we needed in order to create a pin. The way you can actually do it, and I'm showing you all of this debugging process together because I want you to know what to do when you have a problem. Now I'm going to go to source. No, actually not the client. We're looking at the server. So I'm going to go to models and here you're going to see a couple of things. Username, title, rating, latitude, longitude, and description. Now these are very important. And obviously I'm going to start with the username. So first I want to have a username, and the username is going to be dark web. Yeah, why not? I like this one. So dark web is going to create a pin. This is going to be titled. Then we have the comma. Then we have title, and this is going to be Paris. Then we need to have a rating. So that's one from 1 to 5. I can say 5, just like this. I believe I can say 5 because it is a number, if I'm not mistaken. Rating is a number, yeah. Then we have latitude. So I can say lat, and I believe around Paris was 2 and 3, something like that. Then we have longitude. So that's going to be 1. And finally, latitude, longitude. Finally, we have a description. So in my description, I can say amazing place. And then I can say send. Keep in mind, we have a post here. We have the API pins /. So this is going to route to, oops. This is going to route to my post method right over here on this one. And it should be working. So I'm sending send. And I have a pin created successfully. And if I go to the server, you're going to see Success, adding pin to DB. Now that is actually fairly great. However, I want to be sure that I'm retrieving this pin in my client. That's the idea. I want to fetch and I want to use my own API into the client. If I go to source API app.js, so this is the application JS, I want to console log response. So let's go console log response. I'm going to set pins. And if I go now to I'm going to remove this postman travel. There we go. There we go. That's actually fairly nice. Now I'm going to refresh over here and you're going to see the data that's arriving. So we have status 200, status text okay. And if I go check the data, you're going to see 0, username dark web. Let's open it up. Description, amazing place. Latitude and longitude at 2 and 1. Rating is 5 and title is called Paris. So now you actually understand. If you have problem with your backend API, this is how you test it. You use Postman to test it, as we did in the previous video. And now you use console logs to see what kind of stuff we get from the server. All right, amazing. Now what we need to do is to actually take this pin and visualize it somewhere into the map. That's the difficult part. Let's see how we're going to do it. All right, here's going to be tricky now. Let's actually close this. I'm going to remove the console log over here. And we're going to be getting the pins, which is nice. Okay. And here we're having the map. Now, the first thing we want to do is to go to new and actually download a couple of icons. Let me show you. We're back into the browser and here we're going to open a new tab and we're going to say mu. Oh, all right. Mu, the React component. Okay. So now we are into mu.com. This is the React UI tools. And here, what you can do is actually you can check for icons. Now, let me just find it where it was because npm install. Yeah, we're going to install it. But I want to say, I want to go and check the icons. So, okay, let me just, all right. We have opened the browser and we are material icons, material UI, and these are the icons that I've been talking about. So currently you have a lot of icons to choose from, and the way you actually set them up is when you write something here. So for example, in or location. Oh, that's actually a nice one. Let's say location. Send me location, like a beep. Send me location. There we go. Location on. So currently you can actually import this one into your React app. So we can go in here and we can just say import location on icon from mu icons material. Now I do not know if we need to install it, but if we do, pretty much will. So let's actually check if I can produce an icon. All right. So currently we're saying cannot resolve new icons material location on in blah, 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 blah. And that is because it is not installed. So is there any documentation on this one? So I can go here and I can say document.doc. Right now documentation. Okay, great. Oh, there we go. The mu icons material package depends on mu material. So we need to take this, which requires emotion packages if you don't use material UI. And there we go. We have npm install this. Love the documentation. So I'm going to stop my clients and then I'm going to say npm install mu icons material, motion styled and emotion react. So enter this. And once it's installed, I do expect that we can see this icon. All right, we have installed it and we can see again high severity vulnerabilities. And now we're gonna say, oh, not npm. Yeah, actually npm start. All right, so currently I do expect it to be compiled successfully because we have already installed everything that we want from the mu material UI. So I do expect it to at least work. I do not expect to see the icon. This icon can be anywhere behind the planet, but yeah, as you can see, it compiled successfully. It's just giving us a warning that pins is not used because we are setting the pins over here, but we're never really doing anything with the array. But it is compiling. So if I go to travel and reload, we're gonna see, is this anywhere to be found? Is this anywhere to be found? No. All right, we do not care about it, but we're compiling without problems. Good. So this is actually the pen that we're going to be using for seeing and locating countries and other people's, not projects, but rather we're going to be locating the locations, right? That everyone picks. Then relocation. Good. Now here comes the tricky part. What we might do is we can open up after the navigation control this map over here, and we're going to do a map function for all of the pins. So here I have an array, and this allows me to say pins.map, and I can map to different React components. So let's actually create them. The way I'm going to create them is by this, doing that. And here I can, how many pins I have in my array. So for example, if I have 20 pins, then I can make 20 times this operation. And therefore I'm going to locate the different pins. I'm going to render different pins in the map. It is a bit difficult, and it's soon to become even more difficult. So let's open a empty React component. And here we are missing a parameter. So pins.mapP, this means that if I have pins, which is going to be this one, right? And pins is having 1, 2, 3, .map is going to take every single pin and do something with it, right? That is what is going to allow me to make it 40 times if I have 40 pins in my array. Good. I'm going to open up component because you cannot have multiple components here. So you do this syntax over here for React. And here what I want to do is I actually need a marker. So I'm going to say marker, and this marker should be imported, of course. So we're going to go up here onto the imports and actually say marker, as you can see, this one. Good. So we have some errors because it shouldn't be working like that. Okay. Navigation control is not defined. Navigation control, we have actually deleted the L, and there we go, it compiles successfully with warnings. And let's actually see what we need to do. Now, I am going to produce a so-called marker onto the map. This is what's going to allowing me to actually place different markers on different longitude and latitudes of the map. So I'm going to open and close brackets. So I'm going to say marker, and I'm going to do it like this. Good. The marker is going to have a couple of properties. Now, obviously, the first one and the most important one is the longitude. So I'm going to say longitude is going to be equal to p.long. Right? I'm going to explain why, but obviously, just think about the marker as a pin. For now, this is our pin. This is what's going to represent a pin. And in order for us to put it somewhere in the map, we need to have locations, X and Y. So we need to take the longitude, we need to take the latitude in order to establish an X and Y and place it onto the map. Obviously, having a projection as a globe is going to be requiring a Z as well, but we're not going to think about this for now. So the longitude is going to allow me to type p.long. If you actually remember, a whole pin schema is based on having a longitude and latitude. And if I go to model spin, you can see lat and long here. These are the things that we're storing in the database. So if you have lat with 3 T's over here, obviously in your client, in the latitude part, you are going to have p.lat t, right? But since my model is with 1 T, I'm just going to be sure that I'm having it like that. So I'm establishing the longitude and latitude, and I'm taking the lat and long from a map, which is great. Also, I'm going to place an anchor. Anchor is going to be equal to center. This is something that React GeoMap requires. Let me just make it a little bit more readable. All right. Anchor is just where we're going to position the stuff. So right now we have bottom, we have right corner, we have left corner. I'm going to use center because I want it to be neutral as possible. And finally, we already have the location of the marker. All right. And here on this side, I'm allowed to place my icon. Now, my icon was called location on icon, and I can do this. I don't know why. Oh, yeah, there we go. So I have location on icon, and I can close it like this. I can do this. Good. On location on icon, we have a couple of things to do. So the first thing is I'm going to create a class name that's going to be equal to icon. So I can then later on do stuff with it in the CSS, and it's going to apply for every icon. Then I'm going to have on click, but for now I'm going to leave that empty. And actually, I think I'm going to leave it like so. on click is not going to be allowed for me currently. And I'm going to have a style. So the style is going to be the following. Now I do want to increase and decrease as I zoom in. So I'm going to say font size is going to be equal to viewport. Oh, and I do not have the viewport zoom. All right. Well, I'm going to remove the style for now, and I'm going to do it currently. So here I'm going to add a hook. Let me just, in order for me not to forget, add a viewport hook. Use state hook. All right, good. Let's go and see what's happening. So currently, I don't have any problems. Each child should have a unique key. On-click listener to be a function. Okay, I'm going to remove the on-click as well. As I said, for now, we're not going to use it. And I'm not even going to pay attention to this problem because this problem is the fact that I need to provide an ID. All right, now there is my pin over there. Now currently it doesn't do anything, it's just showing, but you can see that it is here onto the map. And when I go behind the planet, it actually disappears. And if I go in front of it, it actually appears. I want to change the, as you can see, it's like getting smaller when I zoom in. And it's not getting bigger when I zoom out. So I want to make it look a little bit better. I want it to make a little bit more responsive. And that is why I'm going to use this viewport right over here. So what I'm going to do is, if I have this projection style onto the map, and here is the map, I want when I zoom in, so when my projection is actually here, like this, I want my pin to be smaller. But when I zoom out, I want it to be bigger because I want to see it, right? And this means that I need to make something like a useState hook. I'm going to have an object and I'm going to keep information here just so we can zoom out and zoom in. So for now, actually, even without the useState hook, what you can do if you want, and that's probably what I'm going to do, I don't know yet, because the other one is a bit more work, I can write style and I can say that the font size is going to be equal to my viewport zoom, which is, I don't know which it is. Let's say, oh yeah, that's a problem. Every single time when I zoom, I do have this change of zoom effect. So you cannot just type 14 multiplied by 2, 28, because obviously it's not going to change. All right, let's do it the hard way then. I'm going to say const, and I'm going to go viewport, set viewport. This is going to be equal to useState, and it's going to be equal to longitude 12.4, latitude. I really do not care about the numbers that I write over here, but what is important is that they will change, and zoom 14. So as you can see, this is my viewport, and I want to go initial view state viewport, something like this. But currently we have problems, unexpected error 56. Oh yeah, there we go. Let me just see if this compiles. Oops, successfully. Good. And now what I can do is I can finally create the style. So I can say style is going to be equal to font size. And here I have this viewport thing that we created now, dot zoom. All right. And I can just multiply it by 2. Color, I can say, I can actually choose which color. And if it's my pin created by my user, I can put another color. So what I can do here is I can say p.username. Keep in mind the username comes from the model right over here, username. p.username, if this is going to be equal to me. So if this, you know what, for now, I'm going to write a comment here, style. If we have a current user, make it a different color. That's what I'm going to write. And for now, I'm just going to leave it like blue or slate blue. All right, let's go back and see if this works. There we go. All right, we're zooming out, and it's bigger, and we're zooming in, and actually, it's getting smaller. And when I zoom out, it's actually getting a bit bigger. It's getting bigger because my zoom port is always different. So my zoom here is going to be 10. And when I zoom out, it's going to be 15 because I'm zoomed out. And therefore the number here is going to be bigger because we're multiplying this variable by 2 every single time. That's why here it's now 30. If I zoom in, it's going to be, let's say, 20, and it's getting smaller and smaller. And of course, if I'm zoom in very, very, very in, it's going to get very, very small in comparison to the streets, for example. You're going to see this better when we actually put it in France or Spain or Germany or something like that. Okay, good. Good. Now when we have that, why I actually decided to put a comment here? Well, because if I log in, I'm going to have a use state and it's going to be holding my user. And if I have a user, so if I'm successfully logged in, I want the user to see different colors. But now I'm just going to leave it like this, slate blue. All right. Now, I'm not going to go with the color now, and I'm actually going to move on to something a bit more interesting and a bit more functional. I'm going to close the marker, and here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it clickable. So I'm going to say if p.id equals current place ID, then I'm going to have something developed over here. Now, before I do start, first of all, what is p.id? Now, when I'm creating a MongoDB, Mongo adds this .id, so _.id. Every single item has this ._id, and you can actually check them into the database if you're very interested about it. But for now, I'm not going to show you. I'm just going to leave you to check it on your own, and I'm gonna do the following. First of all, what is a current place ID? Well, the current place ID is going to be the one that you actually click. But you're going to ask, wait a minute, we're not clicking anything. Yeah, true. That is why, because here I have to say a handle click function. If you remember, we had a function, I deleted it. Now we're going to add it. And the function is going to be the following. I'm going to say that on click, I'm waiting for my IntelliSense over here. Okay, still nothing. On click. I do not know why IntelliSense is not providing me with anything, but I'm just going to leave it like this then. On click is going to be equal to this function. When I'm clicking this icon, I'm actually going to take it and say handle marker clicked, and I'm going to pass the following: p._id, p.lat, and p.longitude. And that's it. So of course I need to be creating this function. So let's go up here and define it. In order for me to define it, the first thing that I want to do is to say that I need to provide a hook. So I'm going to say const current place ID and set current place ID. And this is going to be equal to a use state react.useState of no, because at first we don't have any ID. And of course the function, which is going to be, yeah, let's define it over here. The function is going to be const handle marker clicked. We are taking an ID, a lat, and a lon, and we're just going to say set current place ID by the ID. All right. Set current place ID, unexpected error 72. Yeah, we're gonna remove this for now. Let me just see. Okay, good. Okay, good. Now it compiles, and I am even going to console log lat console log lon. Control S, go over here, reload everything, and I want to find my icon and actually click it. So we have 2 and 1. And if you remember, 2 and 1 are the longitude and latitude that we actually provided it. The latitude and the longitude. All right, good. So handle marker actually clicked is working. Now, this ID is going to be the ID of the concrete pin that we actually pressed. So now when I have a concrete pin that is pressed, I can actually produce a pop-up. And in the pop-up, I can have information about this particular pin. So that's what we're going to be building. Now, how are we going to do that? We're going to check if p.id equals current place ID. And keep in mind, we're just going to iterate. We're doing a map over here. And when we're clicking on a pin, we're going to iterate through each pin and just say, okay, this is the ID that I need. And this is the ID that's going to produce this stuff. We're going to say and here we're going to open and up and close, not curly brackets, but normal brackets. Good. What we're going to have now is a pop-up. So a pop-up is coming from React GL map. And again, we need to come here and import it. I can just come in here and I can say pop-up. This should be enough for me to produce a pop-up. All right, good. A pop-up should have the following properties. First of all, it should have a longitude. And this is going to be equal to p.long. Keep in mind, we're still in the loop. We're still in the .map function right over here. So this is going to extract this object p, and I can access its data right over here. Latitude is going to be equal to p.lat. Then I'm going to say close on click. It's going to be equal to false. Close on move. It's going to be equal to false. I want it to stay when I'm moving through the map. All right. We're going to say on close function, but for now I'm just going to pass an anchor, and the anchor here is going to be left. It's not going to be center. All right, very well. What we have currently is a pop-up produced. So the pop-up is actually a placeholder. It's something like this, a square. And in the pop-up, you are allowed to write your own divs. So we're going to style everything, but for now I'm going to say div.cart. All right, it didn't work out. Div. And here I'm going to say CL is going to be equal to cart. So the class name is going to be cart. And the first thing that I'm going to do is create a label. Label is going to be a place. All right. Now here comes the interesting part. Into the label, oops. After the label, sorry. I am going to say h4. I'm going to say class name place. And here we're going to have p.title. I'm not entirely sure if it was title, so let's go and check it out. Yeah, it was title. Okay. So that's going to be the label place. Is going to have an h4 header 4 with the title. Then we're going to be producing a label review. So I want to say review. Oops, review. And here we're going to be producing description. I don't know what happened here, but probably like this. Okay, good. So the class name over here on this one is going to be description. And here, of course, we're going to have p.description. Again, be sure that this description is equal to the thing that you put on DB. I'm not entirely sure if mine is descr. All right, it's going to work. Good. Finally, we have the review. We have now the rating. So I'm going to say label rating. And here I can create stars because I do not want to have just the number 5. I want it to be a bit more beautiful. So I'm going to open a new div here, and I'm going to say div. Class name is going to be stars. CO is going to be stars. And here I'm going to do the following. I'm going to say array b.rating dot fill, and I'm going to be filling it with icons. Right. So how am I actually going to do it? Well, p rating is going to have either a number from 1 to 5, right? So 1 to 5. And I can just say, all right, I want an array and I want to fill my array with stars. So if it's 1 to 5, if it's 4, I'm going to have obviously 4 stars. You're going to see it. In order for me to collect the stars, however, I need to go and choose a star icon. So here I'm going to go either with a closed one or a filled one. I like the filled one. I'm just going to copy it, place it over here, star icon. I'm going to take the star icon and just put it here into the fill. All right, star icon, and the class name is going to be equal to star because it's going to be different to other icons. Good. So now we are actually having the rating as well. And what is left? We are having the description, longitude, and latitude, rating, title username. We're not having the username. We're not having the timestamps over here. We have some work to do again. Label information. All right. So my information. What is my information? Let's go and create a div, and the CL is going to be equal to info. And the thing that I want is to create a span over here with a class name of user, and this is going to be username. This is going to be created by, and then I'm gonna say who is the creator, p.username. And when it's actually created, so I'm gonna copy it, say date, and then I'm going to format it. So here I'm gonna say format p.created at. Good. Everything seems to work. Let's fix the problems. Format is not defined. Is it really though? Format is not defined. All right, well, let's go on here and import it then. Format from, I think it was time ago. Oh, all right. Well, we need to install something else. Let me just close the client and say npm install timeago.js. Timeago.js is the library that's responsible for actually formatting the time. So let me say npm start, and here I'm going to import timeago from timeago.js. There we go. So currently format is going to be working. I hope. Starting the development server is going to take a little bit of time. Format is still not defined. Okay. Oh, format. Import timeago from timeago. Very intellectual of me. Okay, good. Now I did compile and set viewport is assigned a value but never used. Yeah, because we're not setting it. Let's go and see what are we going to actually produce. So currently I'm going to try to find my pin, and when I click on it, boom, there we go. That's actually pretty nice. I can move on it. It's not going to get closed. And you're going to see that I have a place, Paris review, amazing place, rating, stars, information created by dark web 42 minutes ago. So that's actually fairly decent. That's lovely. I can close this with this little X here, and it's looking very horrible because we haven't applied any styles to it yet. But here is the main part of the application. I find a pin, I can zoom in it, click on it, and when I'm clicking on it, nothing happens. All right. All right, I think I know on close is not doing anything, so it's not clearing up the current ID buffer, and that's why it's not opening. So I need to refresh. Obviously, we're going to take handle with that. So there we go. Click, and the place is Paris. The review is amazing place. The rating is 5 stars, and information is created by dark web. If you actually remember, this is the character that we used when we were creating it, I believe, 42 minutes ago. So that's very nice. When I close on it, I cannot open it up because on close, I'm not doing anything. So currently I have an ID that's going to be equal to, let's say, 5, and I'm re-rendering stuff. Then I'm not changing this ID, I'm not re-rendering, and therefore I do not have, I cannot click on it and produce this beautiful pop-up. But we're obviously going to fix that. For now, I think that's great. Good job if you got so far. Take a 5-minute break for coffee, and let's continue with producing the styles. I think now we can go to styles. Okay, so currently we are in the app CSS file, and let's go and style the cart. So the cart, I want to have a width of 250 pixels, height 250 pixels. I want it to be flex. Flex direction is going to go from top to bottom, justify content, space around, and position is going to be relative because we're going to have some absolute stuff over here. Now cart was this thing over here. Ooh, do we have it actually? There we go. All right. So this is the whole div that we're, why is this thing happening? This is the whole div that we're actually going to be popping. And if you want a little bit more scenario, then I'm just going to reload over here. I'm going to click on the pin, and we're going to get the cart. Boom, there we go. So as you can see, it is a bit bigger. And when you zoom in, it's obviously going to be smaller, but I think this is a decent size. I'm going to leave it like that. this is our card. After that, I'm gonna say dot icon, and I just want to have cursor pointer. I want to be able to click on the pin, and I want people to realize that the pin is clickable. So if I go here, watch the cursor, boom, and now I can actually click it. All right, fairly decent, fairly nice. Then I'm gonna say dot place, font size. I'm just gonna make it a little bit bigger. Font size 14 pixels. And then I'm gonna go with labels. So I want to target this thing over here. I'm gonna say label. Color is going to be blue. Font size is going to be 13 pixels. Border bottom, solid dark blue. And I want to give margin. So let's actually see how this looks. All right, good. So we're having this color and this line, these lines over here. We can end the lines right over here, but I think this is actually looking better. So place review rating information. Good. I think it's looking nice. Then we're gonna go dot description. I think this was the tag. I'm not entirely sure. What we can do is we can put this aside. Right, this is going to be far better. All right, place description. Here is the description tag. Here I'm just going to say font size 12 pixels. I want to see if this is looking nice. Let's click. All right, as you can see, this is the description here in the paras, and I think it's looking all right. This way, it's looking all right. Oh no, actually, this is the title and the description. Let's go with 13. I think 13 is going to be better. Yeah, I think this is a bit more readable. All right, star, golden rod. I want the stars to be a little bit highlighted, just like this. We might even add some shadow over here, but I don't know if it's necessary. I think that's all right. Then we're gonna go and target the info. So dot info. I want this to be display flex. Flex direction is going to be row. Justify content space between. And I want the color to be gray. I think that's all right. This is like these cars that, you know, this is not the most important information, but it's still there. So I think that's all right. And even we can put a little time icon over here, but I don't know if it's necessary. I think I'm actually pretty happy with the way it looks so far. So I'm pretty satisfied with what I have currently. I think that's going to be it. All right. So much for the pop-up style. What we need to do now is to put the footer over here with the buttons. And we also should have the ability to double click somewhere and take the XY of the mouse and produce an icon. So let's do that. So going back, I'm going to close the CSS. I'm going to open up the files and we're going to do something again that is going to be a bit difficult. Let me just do it like this. Currently what I want, so here are my hooks and I want to add one more, and this is going to be called new place and set new place. It's going to be equal to react.useState and we're going to start with no. So currently we're not going to have any new place. This is going to be a setup. I do have a couple of functions that I need to write. Let me just do it like this. I think that's very easily readable. All right, good. So I'm going to say handle at click. So let's create this handle at click function. It's going to take E, and we're going to say let lat long E long lat. All right. In order for us to produce an icon, I'm going to go to the home map and I'm going to give it on double click, and I'm going to say handle at click. Handle at click is going to be the function that we're going to be calling upon clicking double times onto the map. Now, these are the hooks here, and I'm just going to add a new one. So my current hook is going to be new place, set new place, React use state, and we're going to be using no. All right, great. So that is that. And currently I need to define the, did I? All right, we're having it here. Okay, I don't know if I added that. I kind of lost it, but we're going to add the set new place use state. So whenever I'm actually double clicking on a map, I'm going to run this handle add click, and let's actually produce the function handle add click. This is going to be taking E, the environment, and I'm just going to say console log E. I do want to see what's in there, so let's see if this can compile successfully. So Control S, and we have a problem here, error, no such file directory open modules time ago JS to parse source map. Is this a problem that we? All right, just give me 1 second here. It seems like it's failing to parse source map, but it actually compiles. So if I go over here, you're going to see that my project is compiling. And if I come over here somewhere, Nigeria, for example, and I double tap on Abuya, you're going to see this object. So let me open it, and you're going to see long lat. If I open long lat, I'm going to have latitude and longitude. So latitude and longitude are the ones that we're going to be using to create a pin. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to say lat is going to be equal to e.long lat. I believe this was the name. Wung what? ONGLAT, good. Dot latitude, and then I'm going to say long is going to be equal long lat dot longitude. And since I'm now having a new place into my map, I'm going to say set new place, and I'm actually going to set it with lat being lat and long being long. There we go. Good. All right, and I'll probably leave it like that. So currently, when I'm actually clicking on somewhere, you can see I'm not printing it anymore, but I'm setting the new place as coordinates, longitude and latitude. So I can go to Germany and I can go to Frankfurt over here, to Frankfurt, and I can just click on here and I'm having new coordinates that we're not printing currently. We're going to be using this new place in order to produce a pop-up right over there. So in order for us to do that, let's go down over here. I'm going to remove this pop-up, this PID. Okay, yeah. And I am going to create something outside of this pins map. There we go, right over here. So I'm going to first check if I have a new place. If I have a new place, I'm going to produce a pop-up. So let's go with saying pop-up. And I think that's good enough. Good. So we're going to produce the new pop-up. Now I want to give a longitude of new place.long, and I believe these are the names, lat and long. So lat and LNG. Longitude is going to be new place.lng. Latitude, you guessed it, is going to be equal to new place.lat. Then we're going to have close on click, pose. Oops. Then we're going to have close on move. It's going to be equal to false. Then we're going to say on close. I want this function to set new place. No. Because if I actually do it, if I submit this pop-up is going to be when I'm clicking, for example, in Frankfurt, or, oh, we're having a problem. Okay. I'm going to go with black color. There is the globe, and there is Berlin. I'm clicking 2 times over here, and I'm producing this pop-up, which is great. But once I actually submit, because we're not only going to produce a pin, first of all, we're going to see a pop-up. We're going to put some details, and then we're going to submit. And once I actually submit, I do not want the pop-up to stay. And that is why I'm saying set new place is going to be equal to no. This is the whole idea. And I'm going to say anchor, I want to put it to the left of my mouse. All right, good. So this pop-up, as you remembered on the previous one, is allowing you to actually create divs. So I'm going to create a div, and here I'm going to create a form. Good. And on submit is going to be equal to handle in submit function. Now, currently we're not having this function. I'm just going to create it real quick. So I'm just going to say const handle in submit, and this is going to be a function that returns nothing, just like this. Good. So this is going to be an empty function for now, just so we know it works. So what are we actually going to have in the form? Well, we are supposed to have the things that we're going to have in the pin schema. In order for you to create the pin, you're going to need to provide these details. So pretty straightforward. I'm not going to skip through it. I'm just going to code it with you. So the first thing that I want to do is to have a label, and I'm going to say title. Keep in mind, because of the app CSS, the labels are always going to be colored blue. If you want it to be different, just type label B or something like that as this class name here. You can just always say class name. All right, so the title is going to be an input with placeholder equal to enter a title. And I can even do this. On change is going to be equal to a function, and this is where I need to say set title. So let's say set title to e.target.value. Set title is going to be another function over here. So this is going to be const title, set title is going to be equal to React use state empty string. Okay, you can either do an empty string or just simply do no. Both of them. Oh, actually, no is better because no is going to throw an error, and empty string is going to be like an empty title. So actually use no. Good. So we did actually set the title correct, and this is so much for our input. I don't think that we need to do anything more on that. So I'm going to move on to the next one, and the next one is going to be a label. Again, a label, and this one is going to be called review. All right. And in order for us to produce a review, I'm going to say text area. Just like this. We can make it like that. Text area is going to have placeholder, say something about this place. And of course, we also need to say on change is going to be equal to a function, and it's going to say set description e.target.value. And you guessed it, we also need to create a hook like this called description and set description. Again, it's going to be no because we are allowing empty strings to be something valid. As you can see here, the only thing that we want is to be a string. And we're saying minimum to be 3, but here actually we're saying minimum to be 3. But here in description, we're not saying a minimum and maximum characters. So you can either choose a min-max over here, or you can just put no right here onto the hook. Both of them are going to work fine. Good. So now that we actually have this, the final part is our rating. So in order for me to do that, I'm going to go up, down, and I'm going to say label, rating. And these labels are just so I know the user knows what he needs to write. Here I'm going to write a select, and I'm going to say on change again, set rating e.target.value. All right, very interesting. And of course, I need to say something about it. I need, what was it? Set rating? Yeah. So rating and set rating. And I'm going to start with 1. 1 is going to be like my go-to rating. If you're not pressing any stars, you're going to have 1. Otherwise, you're going to have other problems with this. Oops, sorry about that. Oh, come on, I want to refactor it. Okay, good. All right, on change is going to be set rating, blah, blah, blah. And now I need to provide options. So I'm going to go option, just like this. value is going to be equal to 1 if it's clicked, and here we can actually even say 1 star, 2 star, 3 stars. All right, that's what I'm going to do. Let me just value 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oops. 2, 3, 1. There you go. And finally, after the select, I want to create a button. I can even make it self-close, just like this. And I can say class name, submit button. Type is going to be submit. And we're going to say like this. Add a pin. I think like this. It's going to be all right. Or I think it's going to be better to say add pin. There you go. So currently, if I go to my world, I do refresh. Whenever I click, I should get a pop-up. And I get a problem instead. All right, lovely. Let's see what the problem is. All right, now what I did is I added a log, Ctrl log E, and I can see invalid. Where is it? So it's logging longitude and latitude, 40 and 95, minus 95, and it's saying invalid long lat object. So this is caught at the pop-up. So let's actually see what we do provide into the pop-up. This is the pop-up that we're talking about, and we're saying longitude is new place dot long, latitude is new place dot lat, and some of it is producing an invalid stuff. So let me just check lat, long, lat, and long. Everything seems to be all right. I think I know where my problem is. Let lat, lat, and long dot long, but here I think it's something else. So let's actually check it. And I'm gonna double click. I'm gonna go here onto the logger, and you're going to see it is LNG and not LON. So here is LNG. All right, silly me. And everything else should be working fine. So let's actually go to the map, go somewhere. I'm gonna go in Spain, Madrid, and I'm gonna double click. Boom, there we go. There is it. All right, it's actually looking very, very bad, but there it is. So now I can actually click on this and I can create a pin. All right, good. Next up, you guys know it, we need to style these up. We can either put the same classes or we can style them up, but I think I don't know, we're gonna see. All right, let's go. All right, I decided that we do not have any text areas in the others, so it's going to be easier for me to actually write new styles in order to use them. So here in the app CSS, I'm just going to say form, and actually let's split it again like we did. So here I'm going to close this. I'm going to open up the app.js, put it over here, and I'm going to go down, down, down to the new place pop-up. There we go. All right, good. So longitude and latitude, then we have the div, and then we have the form. So let's go with the form. The form I do want to have the same width and height as the card. So I can say 250 pixels, 250. Then I'm gonna say the df. Then I'm gonna say flex direction column. All right, really well. And justifying content is going to be space between. I have been talking for so long that I forgot to talk. Good. Now we do have the form, and let me just see. Input labels. Okay, now I can go target the input and the text area. So I don't want any borders because I don't like them. Border bottom is going to be solid gray, solid black, whatever you choose. And outline is going to be none. Let me just see how this looks. All right, close this. This is looking fairly decent. I'm having this 1, 3, 5. And here we can actually make them stars. Yeah, we can actually make it better. Okay. Title, review. We do not see the outline. Okay, good. And add pin is going to be the submit, which is going to refresh the page. Okay, good. Then I want to say input placeholder and text area placeholder. placeholder, and I want font size to be 12 pixels, and color I want to be light gray. Light gray. Good. All right, there we go. I think this is actually not easily seenable. I'm not entirely sure if I want to be light gray or black, but I'm just gonna leave it like this. You can see this is the anchor left. Enter title and say something about. Okay, good. Then we are going to have the submit button. I think it was a submit button. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna copy this. Dot submit button. I don't want any border. I'm gonna give it a little bit of padding. I'm gonna say border radius 15 pixels, just to look a bit more smooth. I think that's all right. Then I'm gonna say color white, and background color, I'm going to choose this. This is the one that I have used. All right, let's actually see. And this is how it looks. So this is the ad pen, and I think that's actually too much of a border radius. Let's go with 5. I want to see. I think this actually looks better. Now you can actually close it, go in Toronto, go on Atlanta, Mexico. There we go. And when you actually zoom out, it's going to get big enough for you to be able to see it. All right, very well. Now let's do submit button on hover. Background color, I want it to be tomato. And then I want to say cursor pointer, because I want the user to know that it's very clickable. There we go. All right, probably decent. Nice. I think the next part for me is to, now we have the creating pins, we have the on pins clickable. The final part is to actually be able to create a pin and to have this login, to have this footer, the login and the register footer. And we are almost done with the project actually. All right, good job guys. Now take a break and we're gonna do the footer next. Okay, let's go create the footer next. Now I'm back where we started. I'm gonna remove this app CSS and I'm gonna do this. Okay, good. Now I'm gonna go exactly below map, and here we can either do footer. Obviously this is not going to work because we haven't created it, and import it from somewhere. We're gonna do this with login and register. So we're gonna use React components, but I'm going also to show you another way, which you can just say dot footer. Oops, okay. My IntelliSense is not working. Div, and then I'm gonna say class name footer. Obviously we're gonna style this, but we can just put a new div right below the map, and this is going to be acting as our footer. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say another div here, and this is going to be class name footer down. Okay, now what I'm gonna check here is I'm gonna check the following. If I am logged in, so if I can say login and register, right? If I am logged in, I do not want to see either register nor login. I want to see log out. So how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to have a current user, and if the current user is something, then I'm going to visualize log out. So the way I'm going to do that is, of course, we need to go and create a use state as a current user. And at the beginning of it, it is going to be no. So I'm going to copy this and say user, oops, current user, and I'm going to say set current user. Is going to be React use state no. All right, that's beautiful. Now, as soon as we have a current user, we're going to visualize completely different structure in our footer. And the way for me to say that is if current user actually exists, I am going to go with button. I'm going to say class name button logout, and I'm going to give it on click function, but I'm not going to give it now. So on click, it's obviously going to log you out of the account, but for now, we're just going to visualize this button as it is. All right. If, however, we do not have this, I'm going to have something else, right? So if current user actually exists, and I'm going to show you this obviously, but for now, all you need to understand is current user is not existing, then we are going to go with login and register. Once we actually log in, the server returns our response, it returns a valid user from the database. We are then going to visualize the logout. Sorry for me shutting up there for a second. I had to fix the microphone. I do think that it's going to capture my voice better now. Now here, I'm going to create a div. Now I'm going to be creating a div because this is the else. So we're going to visualize this if we do not have a current user. And what do we need to visualize here? Well, we need to visualize two buttons. So I'm going to go button, and then I'm going to go button again, just like this. And the first button is going to be class name, button, login. And the second one is going to be, you guessed it, button, register. Oops, not like this, however. Class name, button, register. All right, very well. Both of them are obviously going to have functions on click. So I'm going to add them, but for now I'm just going to say login, register. I think that's all right. I think that is okay. So after the div, we're going to have the two buttons. All right, beautiful. Once we actually click them, we're going to pass a parameter. And if the valid parameter is there, I'm going to show a pop-up. So let's do this right now, actually. Right over here, below this div, or actually, why do we have three divs? Let me just check. Footer. Right below the footer, I want you to write these two things. So the first one is show register. And if that is the case, then I'm going to show a register button, the register page. And if show login, I'm going to show the login page. How are we going to do that? The first thing I want you to do is in source, you're going to write folder components. Then in components, I'm going to go add one folder, and this is going to be register. So in register, I'm going to have register.jsx and of course register.css. These are going to be our React components, and then we're going to go with new folder, login, same stuff, login.jsx and login.css. Wonderful. Now these two are the components that we are actually going to write. If I type RAFCE here, this is going to just, once register is going to export default. And I'm going to do the same for the login, for RAFCE. And you can see I'm exporting in login page. All right. And what I'm going to do actually is snap.js. If this is the case, I'm just going to go and visualize register. So I'm going to say this, and it automatically imports it for me. Ooh. All right. Sorry for that. As you can see, register is coming from .components, register. And also we want it, yeah, I'm going to do it like this. And also I want the login like this. All right. I will be explaining what I'm doing once again. Just give me 1 second, because now we need to go and twingle around with these two params that we do not have yet. And in order for us to create them, we need to go and use the use state. And I'm going to do them false to begin with, false. And here it was going to be, I forgot again, I think it was show register, set show register, and show login. Set show login. All right, I think that's good. Do you have problem? Okay, we don't have problems. And currently we're not visualizing anything. As you can see, login is not defined, however. So I need to say login, then tap in order to import the login. If I go up there, import, you're going to see import login from components login again. All right, so currently everything is actually compiling, everything is actually working. So let's actually enter, because I really do want to see how is this looking. So I can go like that, and you're going to see that we have scroll bars now, and we have this very, very horrible footer right over there with our two buttons, login and register, right over here. So as you can see, not the most beautiful thing in the world, but we are going to change that. Now I'm going to play around with the footer first, and then I'm going to go with register and login. No, actually, you know what? I'm going to play around with the buttons on clicks. So let's actually style it and make it beautiful. Then we're going to think about it. Since I'm having this in the app.js, I'm going to use the app.css. And right over here, I'm going to say dot footer. And I'm going to give it a position absolute, a display flex, a df. Also padding 10 pixels, flex direction row. Height, I'm going to leave it on auto. Then I'm going to go with 100 view width. Background color, I'm going to use something that I found it's pretty similar to my stars area. So RGB 16, 29, 49. It is this very, very dark blue color. Then I'm going to go Z index and I'm going to just put 100 to be sure that I can see it. Bottom, I'm going to anchor it to the bottom and I'm going to justify content center. Now, if I actually go, you're going to see this. The scroll bars over here are removed, which is what I wanted, and the scroll bars over here. And now we have this darkish color. It's not entirely matching our theme. It's going to be better if we actually find this color, but I'm not going to do that because I kind of like having it like this because it is like a footer. So we're having the two logins, the two buttons. But before that, I'm going to give it footer on hover. I just want to say cursor pointer. We're not touching the footer, but I want to bring attention to it. And I'm going to give it a box shadow. So box shadow is going to be this. Let me just see. 181 0.48. I'm going to give it like this, 6 pixels. And then we need to give it something else. Let me just see what I chose here. Body box shadow 255, 255, 255.0.1, and then I'm gonna go pretty much the same thing. Oops, not like this. All right, so this is something that I do prefer. I did these values specifically because I just tested them, and you can see this very gray to white on hover effect. Right? So you can obviously choose whatever you want. You can put the blue box shadow if that's what you want, but I tested it and I played around it quite a lot. And I just think this is looking fairly decent because it's not bringing that much attention, but it's still bringing attention that, oh, something is happening over here. It is a cursor pointer. I'm not able to click on it, but if I go, I can just see these buttons. So that's why I wanted to do it. All right. Moving on. I do want to say something about the buttons. I do have some compliments about them. So let's go border none. Padding, I'm going to go 5 pixels. Border radius, I'm going to make them a little bit circle-ish on the edges. I'm going to leave it color white. I'm obviously going to give them cursor pointer. And I'm going to say margin right to give space between them. Let's see what we did. All right, seems like we didn't do anything. Let's see why dot button and to our I can try with button login and button register, but I do want to say about the buttons. I think I know why. What I can do is I can give them 2 class names. So the first one is going to be button, and then we're going to have login, button, and then we're going to have register, and button, and then we're going to have logout. And now when I say button, I'm going to target this class name, and I think it's going to work. So let's see. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So now they have a margin right. They are a little bit circlish here on the borders, so the borders are not so edgy. And the color is white. That's why we cannot see anything. They're pretty small to me though, so let's change that. I can either go with font size, but before I do that, let's say dot log out. Background color I want to be tomato dot login, background color, I'm going to choose teal. Dot register. I'm going to choose something bluish for it. In fact, I can just go with blue in total. And I'm going to change the cover effect to dark blue, just so we have a slight change on the color. I'm going to do something the same for the login, and I'm going to go background color. I do not know. We can go with this. I have it here on the paper written down. So it is like the same like teal. And how do I actually find these numbers? Well, the way I'm going to find them is click here on teal, right? And you can just roll it around so you can see this darkish teal color, and then it just appears. So the way I found these colors, and the same goes for this RGBA here, is I just chose a color, a random color. So for example, blue. I then went and I just scrolled it to somewhere I liked it. So that's how I do it. All right, log out on cover. I'm gonna go background color, RGB 6835. And I think that's pretty much it. Now if I actually run it, you're going to see this. I don't know if I actually want to make them bigger. I think it's all right. I think it's just because my view is rather small, right? It is rather small, and that is why this login and register is small. But if I play it on my bigger screen, it's actually going to be bigger. So I'm just going to leave it like that. Now, what we want is to click on login, and I want a page to appear. And when I click on register, I want a page to appear. This is going to be just a pop-up. So we're going to do it it's going to be very easy for us. We're not going to do any other components. So let's see how we're going to do that. Now, it is pretty obvious that we need to do something with set show login, because this is what's going to appear the login page. And it's pretty obvious that we are going to do the same with register. So what I'm going to say here is on click, it's going to be equal to a function that does set show login to true. I don't know why the IntelliSense did these things, but as you can see, it's working. I'm going to do the same thing over here, but set show register to true. Now, when I'm actually clicking these buttons, they are going to put these params to true over here. So let me just find them. Show login and show register are going to be true. We are having a hook, so it's going to re-render our components. And you're going to come here and you're going to say, okay, show login is pretty much true. So I'm just going to show a login page. However, if you type login and register at the same time, you're going to have two different pages. We're going to fix this later, obviously. But for now, what I want is to go to login, and we're going to do the login page first. All right, well, login is going to be a bit difficult, and register, because these are going to be the components from which we actually, wait, yeah, all right. Because these are going to be the components that we're actually going to use to talk with our server. So they're going to be a bit jammed. Let's go with first creating the divs that we're going to be returning. And this is going to be a login container. And the login container is going to be nothing more than just a form. So first of all, I'm just going to say here the class name is going to be app or application. This is just going to be your application name. We're going to say login to your profile. All right, just like this. After that, we're going to just go with a form. So this is going to be form, and I'm going to write a couple of params. So on submit is going to be equal to our function handle submit, which is nowhere to be found currently, but guessed it, we have to write it right over here. So this is going to be the function that's actually going to call the server. And for now, I'm just going to remove it. I'm not going to use it because it's going to make things a bit more difficult. And I do not want them to be. So into the form, we are going to produce a user, right? When I'm logging in, I'm producing a user, meaning that if I go to the server index.js users, I want, not models, routes, users. I want this thing over here. I want to log in. And as a login, I'm definitely requesting my username and I'm requesting my password. I don't know if we need anything else. For register, we're going to go to the models user and we're going to need an email, a password, and a username. But for login, username and password are going to be enough. So, of course, this means that I need to say input. And I'm going to do it like this. Type is going to be, okay, very annoying. Type is going to be text. Placeholder. What's happening with my intelligence? Placeholder. All right, is going to be username. And here we need to have ref. We can do it with ref. It doesn't matter how we do it, but I'm just gonna say password over here, placeholder password, and then I'm gonna have a button. The button is gonna say login, and it's going to have a class name of login button. All right. Probably I would just put the cancel icon. Okay. So currently, if I go to this and I type login, nothing really happens. For engage shell, blah, 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 login. Oh yeah, it's actually printing it, but it's right over here. Okay, as you can see, log into your profile. So let's fix this. I go into the login CSS. And first of all, we're going to start, let me just put it on here. First of all, I'm going to start with the login container. So I'm just going to say login container. This is going to be display flex. Width is still going to be 280, the same as the height. Because I want it to be, actually, we can even change it to be a bit more interesting like this. Padding, I'm going to give 20 pixels. Border radius, I'm going to say 10 pixels. Background color is going to be white smoke. This is a color that I like quite a lot. I do not want to be below my planet. So the planet is here. I want it to be absolute position in the middle of the center. So I'm going to say absolute over here. And in order for me to position to the center, I'm going to say bottom 0, top 0, left 0, and right 0. Margin, I'm going to leave it auto. Line items are going to be center, and justify content is going to be space between. And flex direction, of course, it's going to go from top to bottom, so column. Now let's see what we got. I'm just going to reload, login, and it's still up here. All right, and yep, nothing changed. Nothing changed because we didn't import anything. So let me just import login.css. Let's see if this, yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's actually reload. We are into the app, and then boom, login. There we go. So as you can see, it's looking very bad, but there is our login form over here. So we can write some stuff and then boom, login. It refreshes the pages currently because it's a submit button. So do not worry about that. We're going to change it. Then I'm going to go with .application. Into the application, I do want to create an icon over here. I'm going to make an icon. So I should be placing it right over here. And the icon that I'm going to choose is, let's go to new material icons. And then I'm just going to choose something, enter, for example, or exit. Yeah, I'm going to choose this, exit to app. And I'm going to say log into your app. All right, exit to app icon. And here I can just say exit to app. Good. Now if I actually see how this looks. Yeah, there we go. Okay, good, good. I like it. I like it. So let's go to application and say that everything in there I want to be slate blue. I want it to be display flex, line item center, margin bottom, because I do want to leave area for the inputs is going to be 10 pixels, and font weight is going to be a little bit bold. Good. Now if I actually check it, this is the way it's going to look. Just nice. I think I like it. I like it because it's the same color for the pins that are going to be neutral. All right. Next, we're going to do the login button. So let's go saying .login button, just like this. I'm going to keep it pretty similar to the other ones. Border radius is still going to be 5 pixels. Cursor pointer to show that it's clickable. Background color is going to be slate blue. And font weight is going to be 1000. All right. Then I'm going to say login button on cover. I'm just going to choose this RGB. This RGB color. So it is a little, again, how do I find it? Click on slate blue and just drag it a little bit to somewhere that you like it. What I'm aiming with this hover effects is I want the color to be, you can see it like glows a little bit, just a slight little bit glow to show that it is very clickable. Very clickable. Not only clickable, very clickable. All right, and now I'm actually going to change the inputs. So I do want to give, I do want to give for the input something different. I want padding 2 pixels. Outline, I want to be none. Background color, I want to be white smoke because this white is killing me. And color is going to be RGB 5050 185. There you go. So now I actually have this thing over here. As you can see, the background color of this is the same as the pop-up. So it's not bothering us. It doesn't have an outline. And I think it's actually looking pretty good. The problem that I have is that this color here is very, and I do not have an X. I also need to have somewhere around here an X to close this login. So this color is very dark. Is it very dark? I'm not entirely sure. Is this slate blue? Wow. They're pretty much the same color, but this one seems very dark to me. Probably it's just my screen, but this color over here seems very dark comparison to this one over here. This one seems a bit pale, but I'm gonna leave it like that. It's all right. Do need to put a cancel icon somewhere, so let's just go to Mu and say cancel, or we can take an X. I'm just going to import it over here into the login page. So I'm going to import, let me just let some space. Now I have the cancel icon and I'm just going to produce it right over here. Just like this. Last name is going to be login cancel. And of course it's going to have an on-click event. But for now, I'm just going to target it here on my CSS. It's going to be very simple, login cancel, and I'm gonna go position absolute, up, absolute, come on. Top 5 pixels, right 5 pixels. And of course, cursor is going to be pointer. This is going to be on the top right corner. So let's actually check it. There we go. And this one is looking nice. Of course, on click, it's not doing anything at all, but on click is going to close this. So a communication between my main part and the login and register is going to be required. But for now, I'm just going to leave it like that. Login page, and we have this pop-up. All right, beautiful. I like it. All right. Well, then let's go and finish it. Right. Well, let's go and finish it by saying that here we have to add a couple of things. And the first one is set show login and set current user. Set show login and set current user are probably familiar to you since we have actually developed them here in the app.js. And if I go up, you're going to, let me just remove this as well. If I go up, you're going to note right over here, show register, show, no, actually, you're going to get them here, current user and login. Good. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pass these to the login component by just typing right over here, set show login is going to be equal to our set show login, and set current user is going to be equal to our set current user. So why are we actually doing it? Well, we're doing it because I want to log in and to change this set current user. By me changing it over there, it's going to change it over here, the reference, and it's going to trigger a new re-render, right? And when we're logging, if the server returns a response 200, for example, that it's okay, then it means that I'm already connected, right? It validated my password, it let me in, and I'm now logged in as the user that I am logged in with. So I do have a current user. Having a current user, if you remember, is going to produce this button logout instead of button login and register. And of course, it's going to color your pins differently. While we are here, I'm just going to say set show register is going to be equal to set show register on the register component as well. All right. Let's then control click on login to go to the login. And here I'm going to do a couple of things. So const name ref is going to be equal to use ref, and const pass ref is going to be equal to use ref. Of course, you guessed it, since we're using refs here, we need to come here to the inputs of name and to the inputs of password to add the reference right over here. This is pretty simple to do. All I need to do is to say ref is going to be equal to name ref, and here ref is going to be equal to pass ref. All right, and that's pretty much it. Now we have a way to actually achieve the name and the pass. Good. So what are we going to do with this? What are we going to do with this name and pass? What we need to do is to write a function called const handle submit. I think const handle submit we did somewhere around here. Oh no, we didn't put it. So const handle submit is going to be the on click on the form on submit button. So this is going to be equal to a sync function taking e as a parameter, and I'm just going to say e.prevent default. E.prevent default is going to prevent the refreshing of the page. Of course, in order for me to do this, I need to say on submit here, and on submit is going to be equal to our function, which is handle submit. There we go, just like this. So something is happening now. The only non-empty expression. Okay, good. Now it works. So the first thing I want to do is to create a user. A user should have a username and a password because this is what the backend server is going to look for. So I'm going to say new user is going to be equal to an object where the username is actually the name ref dot current dot value, and the password is the passref dot current dot value. And that's pretty much it. Now we have a new user. And if I go to console logit, let's see, we have a problem now. Use ref is not defined. Yes, it is not. I'm going to say use ref and then tap over here to bring the import. All right, there's the import, use ref, and now everything works. So currently I'm producing a user, right? Let's watch the log, and I'm going to type hello, and for the password, I'm going to type hello there. Log in, and you're going to see this user that we produced. This user that we produced, we call it a user, but in reality, it's nothing. It's just some object having password and username properties. But since the backend server is going to look for these properties, and by having these properties, you're going to be defined a user, that's why we're calling it new user. So as you can see, the password is hello there, and the username is hello. Pretty straightforward. Then the server is going to take this password, is going to encrypt it, then store it into the DB, and so on and so forth. You already know the video. If you have not, again, watch it over here. Let's now go back. I'm going to remove this console log because it works. And here I'm going to do the following. So try, and then I'm going to go catch. For now, I'm just going to console log error. Here I want to produce a notification. So I'm going to say produce a failing, but yeah, a notification. There we go. So what are we going to do in the try? Well, first of all, I need to import Axios. So let's first say Axios, and it's not going to work, but I know from where to import it. I'm going to go app.js, and I'm going to copy this import Axios from Axios. Then I'm going to state it right over here, And what we're going to do is we're going to say the following. Const response is going to be equal to x to our await, since it's a synchronous function and we have to have await. Axios.post. It is post because here into the user.js route, the login is a post method. And we have slash login. So in order for me to actually achieve this, I need to say, since you remember the proxy, which is right over here somewhere, the proxy is API, and I need to say slash, here I need to say slash users slash login. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to await post slash users slash login. And what am I actually going to be sending as a body? Well, I'm going to be sending the new user that I created right over here, because we're going to be looking for the username and the password into the server. So that's what I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass the new user. If everything succeeded, then I'm going to just produce a success notification. That's pretty much it. I'm even going to console log it. Console.log response. And I'm going to say set show login false. I'm going to set show login false because I do want to remove this login page. Good. Oh yeah, I'm missing also the set current user. Since we have finally got a user, if we have not achieved an error, then it means that we have achieved a user. And I'm just going to set it. Set current user is going to be equal to our response data.user name. Good. Now, my server is actually running, but I do not have anything registered into the DB. So everything that I do is going to fail, but let's say login, and you're going to see Axios error. Request failed with status 400. Error, bad request. Is a bad request, and we should be returning probably that we have, let me see the messages. Yeah, wrong username or password. There is our response. It is a wrong, but again, we're giving the user as few information as possible because we do not want to allow hackers to know if a username exists or it doesn't exist. Good. Now on close is still not doing anything. There we go. The server is failing as it should, because again, we have dropped the DB table. We do not have any users available. First, we need to register one, and then we need to log in. So it made more sense to obviously start with the register, but here, the cancel icon is going to do only one thing. On click is going to be equal to set show login false. All right, let's try it again. Boom, there we go. Okay, good. Login, close. Login, close. Very nice, very nice. So currently we have a way to log in to the server. Problem is that we don't have anything to log in with. So yeah, that's funny. We had to start with register, but I'm learning as I go as well. Good. Now, we have already got the login. We are going to return here to produce these notifications that we have been talking about. But for now, let's go straight to our register component. Okay, we are into our register component now, and we are going to accept the function set show register. And I think this set show register is already passed over here. Set show register. All right. This is what we're going to be changing in order to stop seeing the register. Good. So let's go into the return statement now and actually create a div. Again, we have to be mindful what is a user, and we can see this into the models over here. A user accepting user, email, and password. So be always mindful about that. When we're creating, we know that our form is going to be requiring these three inputs. So class name first is going to be application. Or just application container, doesn't matter. And here I'm going to have, I'm going to have the application class name over here. This is where we're going to put the logo. And here I'm going to say class name, register container. Yeah, we're going to keep them unified. So here I'm going to say create a profile. And I do want to get, again, exit like this. So let me just import it over here, create a profile, and then I'm just going to say exit to app icon, something like this. I'm saying exit to app. It doesn't really matter what icon I'm going to put here. It's just that this is going to look like an entry into the project. After this div, I am going to open up a form. So let me say a form on submit is going to be handle submit. We're going to fix this in a bit. And we said that we're going to have 3 inputs, right? 3 inputs again, because here the user model for our backend accepts username, email, and password. So I'm going to go here and I'm just going to copy this 3 times. And here I'm going to say type is going to be equal to text, and placeholder is going to be equal to name. Of course, here is going to be username, here is going to be password, or let's go email, and here I'm going to say password. Type here is going to be email, and type here is going to be password. All right, good. We have all of these placeholders, and again, we can do it with use ref. So I'm just going to go over here, right? Const name ref is going to be equal to use ref. Tap, so we can actually import it over here. And I'm going to copy it a couple of times. I'm going to have email ref, and I'm going to have password ref. Good. Of course, I need to provide a name here. So this is going to be equal to these refs. Let's just copy them over here and over here. And here we're going to have name ref. Here we're going to have email ref. Here we're going to have pass. All right, great. That's all wonderful. And at the end, I'm going to have a button. The button is going to have a class name register button, and it's going to say register. Lovely. And finally, I want the cancel icon, as you remember. So let's go and find the X. Actually, you know what? I can just go to the login page. I can take this cancel icon. I can just import it right over here. And then, of course, place it like this. Good. So now this is what we're going to be achieving. I'm going to go to the register CSS and actually style them before testing. As per usual, I'm going to put this onto the right one. And we're going to go with first register container. So register container is going to have a display flex, and I want it to be a bit different in the login. So I'm going to change it. Then I'm going to give it some padding. Also going to give some border radius to the whole form. I'm going to give it white smoke as we did with the login. I'm going to give it position absolute. And I'm going to center it. So left, right should all be 0. Good. Margin is going to be auto. Then I think what's left is to align the items. Of course, we want it from top to bottom. So flex direction is going to be column, and I'm actually going to put the flex direction right over here under the display flex. And of course, justify content is space between. We want to be able to see them. Good. So now I'm going to tap the application. Inside the application, I want the color to be blue. I want the display to be flex. I want it to be in the center, and I'm going to give margin but bottom because I want to leave space for my inputs. And also probably I'm going to make it a little bit bold. Good. Now what's left is for me to finish the register button. So let's go with register button, just like this. I'm going to give it border none. Padding 5 pixels. Pretty standard. As I said, I'm keeping it similar to the other buttons that we created. Cursor is going to be pointer. I want it to be clickable. Background color is going to be light gray. And font weight is going to be 1000. Good. So now we're just going to give it a hover effect. So when I hover it on it, I want the background color to be 225, 225, 225. Good. So as you can see, this is a little bit, if you click here on the light gray, a little bit here onto the white part. As you can see, it's a little bit above. This is 211, 211, 211, and then we're just increasing it with 10. Good. And now we finally need to take care of the inputs. So I'm going to say input. I'm going to give it padding. Outline is going to be none. Background color is going to be white smoke. I want it to be the same color as the register container because I want it to look seamless. Color is going to be 50, 50, 185. So this is a bit darkish blue. And finally, I think the only thing that we need to do is to say register cancel and register. What was the name of it? Cancel icon. Yeah, here we're gonna have class name and it's gonna be equal to register class name. Come on, register cancel like this. And I'm just gonna say, okay, register cancel. Okay, something is very buggy. Register cancel is going to have an absolute position, and I do want to target the right corner. So if I have, if I have this, I want the X to be here onto the right corner, right? So top 5 pixels, right 5 pixels, and cursor, I want to be pointer because this is going to be clickable. Good. Let's actually see what we got now. I'm going to refresh the page. So first of all, I'm going to click on login because I liked it. All right, there is the login page. And then boom, there is the register. And for some reason, it's appearing right down here. So the whole container has position absolute and it is in. Okay, we have to fix this. It is inside. Let's see, where is it? App.js. Let's close this, let's close this, App.js. And for some reason, we're not seeing it onto the middle. Oh yeah, we're not seeing it because I'm not importing anything. So import register CSS. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Create a profile. Nice. So again, login is coming up here nicely. Close. Register is coming up here nicely. And as you can see, the register button is going a little bit whiter when I click. Here we're going to have blue colors because we said it. And of course, currently the close is not doing anything. Good, good, very good. Let's now go back to the register. Oh yeah, we're actually here. Here, all I need to do is to say onClick is going to be equal to the function that's going to be putting my parameter to false. So this is going to be setShowRegister false. So now when I actually go inside, I can, as you can see, close the register. I can open up login and I can open up register, make a profile. All right, very nice, good. So what is left for us to do is to actually submit it. Now on the form, I'm going to say on submit. On submit is going to be equal to handle submit. And now I just need to create a function. Okay. The function is going to be pretty similar to what we had. So I'm going to just say const handle submit. It's going to be a synchronous function taking E because it is this submit, and I can just say e.prevent default to stop the refreshing page. Actually, I can show you this. Let me just show you. So if I don't have anything, and if I run it, let's show, look what's going to happen to the page. Register, and it's reloading. If I, however, put back this, now I can actually go, register, boom, register. And as you can see, I'm clicking on it, and nothing is happening because of the prevent default. The default behavior is refresh the page on submit, and I'm just preventing that. All right, so what are we going to need to do? Well, obviously we need to extract the data and create a new user. So I'm going to create a new object that's going to have username being nameref.current.value. Then I'm going to have email ref.current.value. And then I'm going to have, of course, password, which is going to be passref.current.value. All right, that is wonderful. Now I'm going to go and check on my backend here. On my users, models, username, email, and password, they're written as they should, right? It's very important because we're going to map them. So as you can see, they are written the same way. Good. Now I'm gonna say try, then I'm gonna catch the error here, and I'm just console log it, console log error. And here, of course, we need to notification, set failing notification. And here on the try, we're going to do the following. Now, again, I'm just going to be waiting for a response. So I'm gonna say response is gonna be equal to await. And if we're gonna be using Axios, since we're accessing something from the backend, again, I'm just gonna go to login. I'm gonna import the statement over here, going to register and actually import it right over here. Oops, here. I'm gonna do it like this. So we're gonna be awaiting a post method, right? Because if I go to users.js, register is going to be post. So therefore, I am required to say axios.post. And what is the thing that we're gonna be doing? In the proxy, we're having API, so I need /users and then /register. What am I going to be passing as a body? I'm going to be passing the new user that I created, so I'm going to say this. Good. As soon as I actually have a response, I'm just going to console log response, and then I'm just going to notify for success, and finally I am going to set show register as false. Good. Now, let's actually try it. I'm going to go to the server, finding all pins successful. And if I open it up, I'm going to go to register now, and I'm going to be creating something. So my username is going to be lead engineer. I'm going to have lead engineer gmail.com. We're not checking if it's a valid email. And I'm going to have a password 123 all the way to 8. Register. And something happened. We are having some data gotten back. Let's check the server. If I go to where is it? There we go. Success registering a user. That's wonderful, meaning that I should be able to log in. And my username was lead engineer, and the password was 123428. Log in, and boom. As you can see, everything is working wonderful. I am currently having a user. And how do I know that? Well, I do know it by this logout button here that I click and nothing happens because currently we didn't make it to happen anything. And now I can actually go here and create a pin. Now, I'm not entirely sure if I can create it. Let's say title. Let's go and create a valid pin. So I'm just going to go to Italy, Rome, and I'm just going to say Vatican City. All right. The Vatican, and this background should be changed. Something happened onto the this thing over here is very weird. I have to change it. Review. I don't know, amazing place, man. It's just great. 5 out of 5 add pin. And did it work? No, it didn't work. Okay. So currently adding pins. I don't even know. Oops. Okay. So it didn't work. Currently, I don't even know if we have this logging to user successful, finding all pins. I don't even know if we can add pins currently, to be honest. Did I make double click? All right, we're going to check that. So for now, that's pretty much it. Currently, we have created a user and we can log in with it. So very good job. Take a break and we're going to do the adding pins next. Now I'm into the adding pins over here in the client, and handle pin submit is pretty much not doing anything. So this is what we're going to be doing. Alrighty then. Well, the first thing we need to do is to say that this is going to be a sync with E because it's coming from a form. So this is something we need to do. And I'm going to say E prevent default because I do not want to. Is this how you write it? Prevent default because I do not want to reload my page. Good. Now, first, I'm going to create a new pin. Const new pin is going to be equal to the object that we have. So what we need to do for a pin, we need to have all of these. So username, title, rating, lat, long, description. When I'm going to this new pin, I'm going to say username is going to be equal to current user. That has this thing over here. Title is going to be equal to, we're not having it. So we should be adding it. Let's go with, oh no, there it is. There it is, title. Set title. And title, why? Oh, there we go, there we go, there we go. Now it works. Okay. I got distracted for a bit. Good. Let's go to the new pin. The next thing is, let me just see. Title rating. Doesn't matter if I write them like this, but I'm gonna go rating, and the rating is going to be, I think we also have it. There we go. Rating. Then we're gonna have description. I'm not entirely sure if we write it this way. Onto the back end. Description. Discr. All right. And it is discr. Okay. Good. Finally, we have lat, which is going to be our new place. This thing over here, because this is where we click the mouse. So it's going to be new place dot lat, I believe. And finally, longitude is going to be new place dot lng, as you can see over here. Good. So currently we have a new pin. Now I do want to test it. So I'm going to console log, and I'm going to console log the new pin that we created. So let's go. And I'm just going to do it like this, add pin. And here we have the object. Description, fifi, rating 2, fifi, everything seems to be correct. And username is actually null. So if I go ahead and I say try, I want to see if I do not have current user, I'm going to produce an error. Right? So this is going to be user not logged in notification. However, if I do have, I need to talk to the server. So I'm going to say const response is going to be equal to await axios.post. Again, it's going to be post because if I go to pins, this is creating a pin and store it to the DB. It's just post. So I can say post API slash pins should be enough. And I should be passing new pin to the body. If everything works, now I am going to have pin. And where do I have pins? Do I have pins here? Set pins. There we go. I can do the following thing. Let me just find my method. I can say set pins, right? This is if it worked. If it didn't, I'm going to obviously catch error, and I'm going to then say, what am I going to say? I'm going to say console log error, or just notification error. Good. Console response is going to be await axios pins, and now I need to actually take some. So this is how it's going to work now. Let me just find with the blue color. We're having the server, which is going to be standing over here, right? This is the server. And I'm going to go, so this is me. I'm going to go to the server, and I'm going to try to create a pin. If everything's successful, it will be returning me the pin that I have created. And now I just need to put it into my array in order to visualize it. The way I can do that is I can say set pins, and then I can destructurize pins, and I can put the response data inside. All right, so that's how we're going to do it. Then I'm going to say set new place is going to be equal to no because we already finished with a new place. I can then notify for success, notify the user, and then I can set rating 1, set description no, and set title no. That's pretty much it, all we're going to do. Good, I'm going to leave it like this. So I think that's pretty much it. Let's go and try to add a pin currently. Now this is obviously not going. I'm going to go to Romania, Bucharest. Let's find Andrew Tate. I'm going to pin him right over here because I found him. All right. Here is the top G. All right. And I'm going to rate him 5 out of 5 at. And yeah, let's check the server because we have problems with the top G. So if I go to the server, I haven't even accessed it here, it seems. If I go to user.js, register, no, pins.js, we have new pin here. Very, very weird. Well, it seems like we need to be console logging a little bit. Okay, let's fix the problem. So I'm going to first Oh, I don't have. Do I have a user? Yeah, I do not have a user. All right. Let's go to login first with the lead engineer, and then I'm gonna add my password, login, and now here I'm going to say that Andrew Tate Bros. Oops. Sorry, somebody called me. So Tate Bros, and I'm gonna say Andrew and Tristan, and here I'm gonna rate them 5 out of 5. Add pin, and boom, there we go. Lovely. So we added a pin, and now what's interesting is that we can actually click on it, and we can say, all right, it's Tate Bros, Andrew and Tristan, and it's created by the lead engineer just now. So let's go up, 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 and finally everything is working properly. Now I can add a pin, and I can add something in Egypt as well. I'm just going to say here, Egypt, nice, and I'm gonna rate it 4 out of 5 because it's very hot. And boom, there we go. So currently you can see all of the pins that we are creating. Now we're not coloring them in different colors, even though these two are from us, and this one is from somebody called Dark Web. But that's what we're going to do next. All right, let's now go to the map function where we're creating the different pins, and here I'm going to change the color. As you can see, it's light blue to everyone, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to check if key.username is actually equal to our current user, with which we're logged in. I'm going to go with tomato, otherwise I'm going to go with slate blue. Good. So this should be enough for me to mark my pins, and as you can see, there you go. The pins that are from me, lead engineer, and from the account that you're logged in are with tomato color, and the other pins are actually slate blue. If I log out, oh yeah, I forgot that we do not have the logout functionality. Well, let's take care of it now. Now we're going to go to the code on the logout button, which is going to be in the footer, current user button here. And we're going to give onClick, which is going to be a function, and we're going to call handle logout. We don't have it yet though, so we have to create it. Handle logout. All right, and let's go up and create it now. Let's go up, 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 up. And here I'm going to say const handle logout, and it's going to be a function that says set current user to no. And also we might add the storage to the user storage, but for now this is what I'm going to do. So let's actually test it out. If I go over here to the logout, and that's what we're going to do. So let's see the problem. 2117 on click handle logout. Where's the problem here? Oh yeah, all right, let's just leave it like this, like that. Handle logout. Good. Let's go now, travel here, logout, and boom. As you can see, we are logged out currently. We don't have any user. So if I go to, oops, not register. If I go to login, I'm gonna log in with lead engineer 1, 2, 3 all the way to 8. Login, and boom. As you can see, now we are with our own user, and these are lit up in tomato color. All right, and when we log out, we bring back the login and register, and all of the pins are actually blue. All right, very good. Well, I think that the final part for us to do is the notifications, and this is what we're going to be doing next. Okay, we are into Visual Studio, and as we said, we're going to build up the notifications. So the first thing we want to do is to end our application here, not the server, the client side, and I want to go and say npm install react toastify. React toastify is going to be the containers that we're going to be using for the notifications. They are already set up with the animations, with the green colors, with the red colors, and so on. So now that we actually installed it, I'm going to say npm start over here. I'm just going to go to the top over here, and of course, as usual, we need to import it. I'm going to import it right above the register, and I'm going to say import toast container and toast, from React Toastify. Also, I'm going to import React Toastify dist, and then I'm going to say React Toastify.css. I'm going to import this because this is what's going to be used for the styling. And so far, I believe that this is the only thing we need to do. Let's go now down. And before we actually do start this, we need to put the container somewhere in our application, so it just knows where the notifications will pop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the map right over here. And as soon as we open the map, above the navigation control, I'm going to add the toast container. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to obviously add some stuff to the toast container. Now the position is going to be top left, and the theme is going to be dark because I like it. So this is our container, and here we are gonna have the notifications. Currently, I do not understand why this is not starting, so let's just npm start again and see if everything works correctly. So this is the container, right? And it's positioned in the top left, so there we're gonna receive the notifications. And finally, if it's actually, I think what is left is to say what kind of a notification we want. Do we want a success or an error notification? So that's what we're going to do next. I just want to start this development server just to be sure that everything compiles, and we're going to continue. All right, we've got it's working, and I just want to refresh over here. We're not receiving any problems. There goes our world. And here we should be having a container. Now, let's try to produce something. Let's go back to Visual Studio Code. So right over here, and let's see what we're gonna do. So the first thing that I want to do is probably user not logged in. I'm gonna do this. So what I'm gonna do is before this function, I'm going to create a couple of different functions. The first one is going to be pin at success. All right, sorry for this. Pin at success. This is going to be a function that's obviously going to produce a success notification. So that's going to say toast.success, and we're going to produce a message added pin. There we go. So I'm going to copy this function, and I'm actually going to place it a couple of different times, obviously with different naming. Here I'm going to say user not logged in. Right here I'm going to say user logged out, and here I'm going to say pin at failure. Okay, good. So on the user not logged in, here I'm going to say toast, or for this, here we're going to say toast.warning, and I'm going to warn our user by saying that I have logged out. So user not logged in. Oh no, sorry. I'm just going to say log into account to set pins. User not logged in, we're going to produce a warning that we cannot produce any pins because we don't have users. And users log out, I'm going to produce the message failure, user logged out, actually the warning. And obviously I want to get a user because that's what I'm going to print, and toast warning. And here I'm going to say log out from plus user C, user S, which is the param given here. Finally, we have the pin at failure, and here we're going to say toast.error, and I'm going to say couldn't add pin. Please fill all data. All right, good. So let's actually start using these functions. The first function that I'm going to use is pin add success. Now, obviously, I'm going to go right over here where we add the pin. And, oh, actually, I do have, that's very unique. All right. Thanks to myself that I actually post them. So set you place this, and I'm going to say then pin add success. However, if I am not in a user, I need to notify the client that he needs to log in. So here I'm going to say user not logged in. That is the function that I'm going to call. All right, and here notification error, I'm obviously going to go with pin at failure. All right, I'm going to Control S and let's actually test them. So the first one was pin add failure because that's easy to reproduce, add pin. And as you can see, log into account to set pins. All right, now I need to log into account. Let's go to login. I'm going to say lead engineer. And the password was from 1 to 8, login. And we didn't have anything successful. That's good. Enter title, I'm going to add pin. Here, couldn't add pin, please fill out data. As you can see, these notifications are actually quite nice. And I think the final part we did was the logout. No, actually not logout. Pin add failure and pin add success. So let's actually produce a pin and see if we have a successful notification. I'm going to go to Rome. I think I already produced a pin over here, but Vatican City, yeah, there we go. The Vatican, and I'm going to say a very nice pizzas. I'm going to produce 5 out of 5. Add pin added successfully. Wonderful, wonderful. So as you can see, these notifications, you can slide them. It's actually pretty unique. And yeah, you can click add pins just like this. It's very responsive. It's very likable. I really do enjoy it. Actually, it's an amazing app. So I'm now going to log out and I want to produce logout pin, right? So when I log out, I want to see the warning. So let's produce this. Going back to Visual Studio Code. And this is going to be on handle logout. I believe it was around here. Here we go, handle logout. And here, if everything is nice, I'm just going to say user logout. And I'm going to provide the current user. But I'm going to provide the user one step above because here we're actually saying no. All right, and I think we didn't see anything on user logged in. On user logged in and register. So I'm going to copy these two, and let's go to register first. Now, since we have one global placeholder for the notifications, we just need to say import toast over here. We do not need the container. And obviously we're going to produce 2 functions. So this is going to be user register success. Sorry for this. Just want to say user register success. This is going to produce toast success. And I'm going to say registered successfully. And then I'm just going to say const user register fail right over here. And obviously this is going to produce an error. And I'm going to say failed to register. All right. So when are we actually going to code them? Well, when we're registering, notify for success right over here, I'm going to say user register success. So I'm going to go like this, and here set failing notification user register fail. Right over here, like this. So let's actually test it out. If I go over here, I can click register, failed to register, and here I can add something unique. So I'm gonna go lead engineer 2. My email is don't forget to subscribe gmail.com, and the password is going to be the same. Register. Boom, registered successfully. All right, and here we have internal server error. Let's see what the server is doing, because failed registering a user, adding pin to DB, failed. Yeah, adding pin failed, finding all pins and registering user. I think it's because we're running it 2 times, and as you can see, we have success on the second one. So currently, I think the only one is to log in, and it's on the second one it's doing a success. We're gonna see why this happens. So currently, I think only the login doesn't have any response. As you can see, bad request because we didn't have anything. So let's actually fix this. So let's actually fix this. Login to user failed. This is as successful. So I'm going to go to the login, and let me just copy these right over here. I'm going to paste them, and here we need to add the functions. So my functions are going to be right over here, and it's going to be const. I can think user logged in success. This so toast success. Login successfully. just like that. And here I can also create a new function, user logged in, fail. So this is going to be obviously error, and we're gonna say login failed. Wonderful. So let's see what the problem is. User logged in success. Declared but never. All right. Okay. So user logged in success. Obviously, we're going to produce a success notification right over here, and we're going to be producing a fail notification right over here. Wonderful. So let's go ahead and test the app. Right. So let's log in. Boom, boom. And as you can see, login failed. I'm going to go with lead engineer. I believe it was 2. And here I'm going to go 7-8. Login successful. Log out from lead engineer 2. All right. Well, there is the app. I can't believe we actually finished it. Tap yourself on the back. Good job, everyone. We did an amazing application together. And I do hope that you enjoyed it. Do not forget to subscribe. It's helping me a lot and is going to motivate me to keep doing amazing projects like these. Thank you very much for watching so far. I'm going to go take a shower and see you till next time. Bye.